Have you ever just wanted to complain about stuff, but nobody wants to listen? Today I'm going to talk about why you too should start a vlog. Okay, so welcome back to the Colorblind Architect Podcast. I'm your host, David, and today I just got off the ski slopes, so if you see any of the video clips from me inside the car, you're going to see some pretty matted, messy hair, because yes, I do wear a helmet. And why do I wear a helmet? Well, frankly, I kind of like not busting my head open. I don't really do it because of safety. I do it because, I just don't like to bust my head open. Anyways, that was a dumb comment. So let's move on. Okay, so today's topic is why you too should start your own vlog. And, this is something that I'm sure a lot of people who don't understand why I do this might question. They might look at, Dave, why are you doing a vlog? Like, nobody's watching. Yeah, I know. I've seen the analytics, and I don't really care. See, here's the thing. You can do a vlog to try to get views, and many people do. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that do some really great stuff, and there's also some not so great stuff. And there's also some stuff that's like wildly popular that I can't figure out why it would be. Like literally millions of viewers, and they are the dumbest shows ever. But that's okay, That's why I love free speech. That's why I love freedom, is because, everybody can do their own thing, And so, by the way, if there are any ski clips showing up during the video, that will mean I actually did have some success with my helmet cam. I just wanted to test it out. I lost the battery cover to my helmet cam, and it does make it a bit difficult to keep the battery inside the camera when the plastic cover plate that's supposed to push up and keep the battery in place doesn't stay in place. So today I jury-rigged a piece of plastic, kind of on a, like a folded piece of plastic, to kind of give it some spring so that hopefully it would push up against it. And we'll see. We'll see if I got any clips. Otherwise, you've got some really crappy footage looking up my nose. So yeah, that's fun. So anyways, I'm driving and we're talking about vlogs. So I think I've mentioned it on several of my episodes before that the reason why I vlog is more so that I can vent and get some of my ideas out. These kinds of videos sometimes are good, sometimes they're crappy. And, I put them out there anyways because, frankly, I don't really care. It's more just the process. So let me explain. So yesterday, my wife comes home after a meeting at church, and she had been asked by a particular individual if she was from the Spanish-speaking ward. So if you don't know, in the LDS Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we have what's called wards. That's kind of like a congregation in other churches, and you're assigned a congregation based on your geographic area, unless, of course, you speak a different language than English, or whatever the native tongue of the local area is. And then sometimes they'll have special wards created that are just for those other languages. So here in Utah, we have Tongan wards, we have Russian wards, we have Chinese wards, Filipino wards. There's a lot of different languages out there, but for the most part, most people just attend the English wards because most people learn English and it's fine. But it's an opportunity for people out there. Now, the reason why this was so offensive to my wife is she doesn't even speak Spanish. She's not Spanish or Mexican, Hispanic at all. She's actually Romanian. Now, you could say, okay, well, why is that such a big deal? Well, the reason why it was a big deal for her, and I actually tend to agree with her, is that it's just rude. If you walk up to somebody and just assume, because you hear them speaking with an accent, that they must be like some other race or some other ethnicity, and you just say that you're gonna sound like an idiot, right? However, it doesn't really help when too many people do it, because you get a lot of people out there that they think that they're smart and they're actually idiots. Take myself, for example. I tend to think of myself as an idiot, and people keep telling me that I'm smart, and I don't believe them. I think I'm a stupid monkey just like the rest of us. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because, obviously I like to keep myself humble. But let's go back to that story. It's not something that is very pleasant to be constantly told, treated like you're an inferior citizen. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are foreign language speakers here in this country, people who don't speak English, and they get treated like subclass, like second-class citizens. And sometimes they're not even treated like citizens. My wife has actually struggled with that many times, where people will, say, "Oh, so when are you going back to your home country?" And it's like, I'm an American citizen, so yeah. So I'm always amazed by that, how people do that, how people, they try to assume things, and they also say stupid things like, when referring to anybody who's non-white or non-English speaking as not American. And I've seen that quite a bit. I've seen it so many times when people say stuff like that. And I'm like, oh gosh, you're a freaking moron. It just boggles my mind that people can't process the idea that to be American has nothing to do with your race, your ethnicity, your place of birth. It matters if you're a citizen. And to be a citizen is to accept the oath of citizenship if you're not a natural born citizen. Personally, I'm of the opinion that we should actually require people to swear the oath of citizenship upon their 18th birthday as part of their high school graduation. That way, and also as part of their senior year, they have to take a civics class and then pass the citizenship test. The citizenship test, when my wife took the citizenship test, it was actually a pretty tough test. And, I helped her study for it. I looked at the practice exams, and I found, that's a pretty rigorous test. So why do people being naturalized as Americans have to take this test? And yet, just because you're born here, you just get to willy-nilly vote? You get to just willy-nilly be a citizen? And yeah, I get why we have citizenship by birth, but at the same time, I do think to be able to have the right to vote, you should be able to pass the citizenship test. Because if you have to do that to become a citizen, as an immigrant, you should also have to do that as a natural born citizen. Because there's a lot of people who are natural born citizens who are morons. They're idiots, and they don't know crap, and yet they vote. And that's why we get the results that we often do in politics, where you get the lowest common denominator type candidates. You know, I'm not naming any ones in specific, you know, just, you know, maybe they're like octogenarians who are losing their mind and are in bed with the Chinese Communist Party. I don't know, you know, just hypothetical, you know. I'm not saying anything about any particular individual. So anyways, so here's why I think you should vlog. Okay, so my wife, she vented to me quite a bit about it, and you know, I'm happy to listen to her because, you know, I love her. And even though sometimes it can get a little tiring to listen to the same venting all the time. Same thing as she kind of gets tired of me venting all the time too. And, you know, I think we all have this inherent need to vent our frustrations, to express our ideas, to have a voice. And one of the great things about social media and the technology that we have nowadays is that pretty much everybody with a smartphone and an internet connection has the ability to express their voice. Now, granted, we can talk about the other side of things. What about people who have been deplatformed? This is true. There are people who are being deplatformed, and you know, when it was the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, you know, a lot of people didn't criticize. You know, a lot of people didn't criticize big tech for deplatforming these people. They kind of just, you know, said, "Oh, well, you know, that makes sense because these people are hate mongers." Well, now they're coming for pretty much all conservatives. Pretty much anybody who's a conservative or a Republican, anybody who voted for or supported Donald Trump. There seems to be this vindictive aim by those on the left to destroy anybody who is, you know, a Trump supporter or a Trump voter even. Well, that's kind of a problem. So where do you go? Where do you vent then? I don't know. Personally, I've been going on to, you know, I've been putting these videos on Rumble kind of as a backstop. I did start doing it on BitChute a while back, and I found BitChute to be kind of pointless. You know, I have no clue if BitChute's going to be worth anything like in the future in terms of where, you know, will it actually have, you know, will it actually have any long-lasting presence in terms of, you know, being able to actually get your voice out, or is it just like a dead end that nobody actually watches? Maybe people do. I don't, because I can't find anything on there. It's like the search tools don't seem to be very good, and I can't say that Rumble's all that much better. However, I do like Rumble in the fact that it does seem to be a bit more free with the freedom of speech. It does seem to focus on making everybody a partner and not just those who have big accounts. Because one of the problems with YouTube is, first off, it's owned by Google, and Google's motto used to be "Don't be evil." They had to take that one off because I guess it wasn't true anymore because they're evil now. I don't know. Anyways, so YouTube is obviously the best video platform, hands down. There's no competition, to be quite honest. Even Vimeo just sucks. It's horrible. You know, and that's not to say that Vimeo doesn't have a place. Vimeo has really good high quality stuff on it, but it's not really meant to be like a everybody share type stuff. YouTube's original purpose was to be that place where, you know, anybody could create their own TV channel, anybody could create their own voice, and yeah, it's still sort of that way, but they definitely limit you quite a bit if you're not one of their favored people. And obviously, a lot of this is because they want money. YouTube's trying to, make a huge profit, and it's really hard for them to do that if they're hosting billions and billions of videos that don't make money. Because after all, you have to be able to sell advertisement for these videos to actually sell, right? And most videos don't. Most videos advertisers aren't interested in advertising on because, they're not a general purpose, or even they might present an image that maybe that company doesn't want to advertise with. And a large part of the reason why I think a lot of YouTubers on the right get deplatformed has to do with this advertisement situation, where too much of corporate America, they see where Twitter is, they see where the angry letters are, and they're mostly on the left. And the reason why is because the left long time ago figured out that they could manipulate businesses. Because let's be honest, most business owners, they don't want to be political, they just want to sell their wares, right? Totally fair. But they're not really all that politically savvy. They don't really understand what is happening with their business. They don't realize that they're being manipulated into supporting causes that are actually antithetical to their own business. And this is something that the left has been doing for a long time, creating letter writing campaign, phone call campaigns, Twitter cancel campaigns, where they just attack any company that tries to vary from the leftist narrative. And it's been an extremely successful campaign, to the point now where there is pretty much not a single corporate entity. I don't know of any major corporation that isn't in bed with and owned by the communists and their narrative, at least from a political persuasion viewpoint outlook type of way. I mean, obviously, most of these publicly traded companies, they're owned by all of us, right? With our IRAs, our 401ks, and things like that. But realistically, that's how it happens. They put the pressure on, and people on the right, they tend to be, conservatives tend to be really just easygoing people. They just want to work. They just want to they just want to have their life. They don't want to be bothered. And going out on a campaign to try to change the world, that's not really their thing. After all, they're conservatives largely because they're trying to conserve the existing order of, capitalism. Because oftentimes that's part of why they're happy, is because they are successful in capitalism. Now, you could argue the case, well, yeah, see, aren't you making the point of the communists? No, I'm not, because here's the problem with the communists. They're arguing the point that because people who work hard are successful, we should also make the people who don't work hard successful. And yeah, I get it. There are people who work hard who aren't successful. I totally understand that. And part of that is because, yes, you do have some inequities that occur. But instead of trying to cure the inequities through intelligent programs, intelligent policies, the left seems to be hell-bent on destroying the very fountain of wealth that allows for us to even discuss the idea of having a stakeholder capitalist, i.e. communist system. These and a lot of these leftists, to be quite honest, they are morons. They don't actually understand economics. They think they do because they study Marxism. They think they understand how the world works. But, if you're studying Marxism as a means of understanding the world, you're not getting an accurate picture of the world. See, the problem with Marxism is it is very much indeed a philosophy based on the rantings of a confused madman, Karl Marx. He didn't actually know what the hell he was talking about. I mean, yeah, sure, you can say, oh, but he was a scholar. Yeah, but all he was doing was studying books. Okay? You can study all the books you want, but one thing that I can tell you, as somebody who has read a lot of books, is that there are good books and there are bad books. Now, don't take me wrong. I'm not saying burn books. What I'm saying is, judge wisely. When you read these books, actually think about what the hell they're saying. And actually think about who the author is and what their background is, what their level of research is. Because here's the thing. Anybody can write a book. Just because somebody writes a book. And that's one of the things that is just amazing to me, is how often I hear advertisements for these consultants, famous, renowned consultant X who does such and such and has been on speaking tours and, written 3 books, and stuff like that. What they don't tell you is that speaking tour, they might have gone around to a bunch of BNI meetings, to Better Business Bureau meetings, and gave a speech, just in local chapters. And for the books, they might have written a book and self-published it, and it sold maybe 2 copies. One of them was to their mom, So it's like, yeah, sure, you're an author like I'm an author. Yeah, because I may not have published a book, but I could easily do it if I wanted to, because anybody can publish a book. And that's always been true. It's always been true that anybody can publish a book if you just put in the work and do it. Does that mean that your book is good? No. In fact, here's an interesting thought. Okay, let's go to one of the classics of literature. Okay, I recently read a book from the 1600s by Sir Thomas More. He's a very famous gent. Well, his book was entitled Utopia. Well, what is it about? Well, it is a fictional narrative describing the faraway land of Utopia. It's an imaginary country on an island out in the Atlantic Ocean, away from England where he was writing. And the whole point of the book was to describe this perfect society, how they were operating perfectly. And it was all based on, Sir Thomas More's fantasy of how a utopia might work. Now, if you actually study closely the book and think about, okay, well, what are the actual economic results if you were to actually try to run a system like this, or even the political results, what would happen? Well, the answer, my friend, is it would be an utter failure, and it would end in totalitarianism, and there would be a lot of people enslaved. Why? Because it grants too much power in central authorities. And it also, economically, the whole idea is based on the idea that somehow you can interchange people into different jobs. Okay, well, that could work in a very rural agrarian society, maybe. Like a Stone Age society, maybe. But if you're talking about even a medieval society, it's already an extremely specialized economic system by the point you get to the medieval era. Now, in the 1600s, that was during the Renaissance period. So when Sir Thomas More was writing this, it was already well-established guilds. You had guilds for these different specialized professions. And the reason why is because it took a long time to learn these skills. And as you learn these skills, you got better at doing them. And so you would have a competitive advantage over other people who didn't practice these skills. Okay, take for example being a blacksmith. Being a blacksmith is something that takes a lot of hard work and training to get to the point where you're competent at it. Now, is it rocket science? No, by no means is it rocket science. Anybody can understand the process of how to become a blacksmith. Does that mean that everybody can become a good blacksmith? No. In fact, it would actually be really stupid if everybody took a hand at trying to be a blacksmith for a couple weeks if your economy is based on that. Now, if you're just going to the local historical living museum like Williamsburg or something like that in Virginia, and you go into the blacksmith shop and you watch them do the thing, and you decide, hey, I want to volunteer at Williamsburg and do the blacksmith thing. Okay, great. Yeah, you could. Now, if that's something that's really your passion. But what I'm going to say is it's still going to take a lot of hard work to learn it and to get your skills to the point where you don't totally suck. So this is why utopias don't work. Now, that was a book that was highly influential. Now, you got to remember, that was a book written in the 1600s, the early 1600s. Now, there's not a whole lot of books in those days. I mean, after all, printing presses were expensive. It was very time-consuming and difficult to print anything. And so, if you were able to print a book, usually you had to put up money up front in order to get it published. And then you had to go out and sell the books yourself. There weren't these publishers out there that kind of did it for you. And let alone Amazon ebooks nowadays, where you can self-publish and put it up on Amazon, and it's available for the whole world, and all you had to do is just type it out on your word processor. I mean, it's a big difference. So the point is that, the book Utopia was highly influential because there were very few books, and people assumed because he was a knighted man, Sir Thomas More, right? So he already had a title, and so there was kind of this assumption that he was smarter. He was part of the elites, and so it led a lot of people over the next couple hundred years to come up with other utopian schemes and imagine what the world could be like. Eventually, it culminated in Karl Marx with his own utopian scheme, communism, right? And unfortunately, that one took. And a lot of people actually tried to implement. If you try to implement a utopian scheme, it's going to end up being a horrifying case, a horrifying situation. You're going to end up with a lot of pain, misery, slavery, totalitarianism. And so that's an example of where bad ideas can fester, because if somebody has a title or a degree, a position of elitism, people will listen to them and assume that they know what the hell they're talking about. And just look at all the people who listen to Barack Obama and think he actually knows what the hell he's talking about. The man might be smart, but only by half. And I say that not to belittle him, but to point out he's one of these stupid smart people. He's highly intelligent in a lot of ways, but he has such an obsession with certain ideas, especially ideas relative to socialism and trying to bring about the communist utopia, that, it's not a viable, how do I put this? He's kind of smart stupid, is exactly what I said. And like I said, please do not think that I'm trying to belittle. I'm trying to describe this situation where you have people who go out and they even get PhDs and they do stupid stuff. I remember this one person that I used to know years back. He was a brilliant guy, very smart. He had a PhD in chemistry. He was working at Walmart as a cashier. A PhD in chemistry. You know why? He was in his 50s, and he was still such a mama's boy. He never moved out of his house. And he couldn't keep jobs in the local area where he was. It was a small town. There weren't too many jobs for people with PhDs in chemistry. And he wasn't willing to move away because he wanted to stay with his mom. I call that smart stupid. Like I said, he was a really nice, pleasant person. Highly intelligent. But he was also stupid. So, this is a phenomenon that can happen, is people can be highly intelligent and stupid at the same time. And so, anyways, I should probably circle back because we are going long. I try to keep these videos to 20 to 40 minutes, largely just because, it takes forever to upload them otherwise. And also, I can't imagine anybody actually wants to watch or listen to me talk for that long. So I'm going to circle back to the original purpose of this video, was why you should start a vlog. So my first reason is that you can vent. Okay? This is the easy one. This is kind of the selfish reason. Reason number 2, so that you can formulate your ideas. So there is a discipline to creating a vlog. There is a regular schedule that you try to keep. I don't know that I have a regular schedule other than I'm trying to do 2 or 3 videos a week, largely as a discipline. It is a way of formulating my thoughts, putting them together, and trying to make sure that I have good, cogent thoughts. Just the act of public speaking is a form of discipline. It requires a lot of practice, a lot of thought. And as you can tell, I'm unpolished in a lot of ways when I talk on these videos. There's a lot of ums and ahs, because when you're speaking extemporaneously, as I am, a lot of times you have to pause and collect your thoughts and, find where you're going next. So that's reason 2, is the discipline of it, because it allows you to create a disciplined mind in formulating your thoughts. Reason number 3, to help you formulate your ideas, crystallize your philosophies. One of the advantages of doing a regular vlog is you're constantly having to come up with ideas of how to describe what you're thinking. And then you have to actually describe it. And this is somewhat related to reason number 2. So, yeah. It's great for the discipline of formulating your ideas. 4th, and I think this is really important, is going back to stupid smart people. There are so many out there, and they're speaking out. Well, whether you're a smart person, or a stupid smart person, or a smart dumb person, you should have a voice. And then the marketplace of ideas should be the judge. So, as different ideas share around, obviously there's going to be some ideas that are better than others. Some ideas are horrible. Some ideas are really good. Well, the great thing about having everybody speaking out and sharing their voice is that conversation moves forward and it propagates, right? When those ideas propagate, then the good ideas rise to the top, the bad ideas kind of settle to the bottom. Take, for example, anti-Semitism and racism and white nationalism. I would say that those ideas consistently fall to the bottom. Why? Because the vast majority of people, when they hear those ideas, they go, no, that's wrong. No, I disagree with that. And so those people who are spouting those ideas get relegated to the bottom. Whereas I think people who are speaking the truth, that we are all God's children and we're all one and we're all equal and we shouldn't have any hate or envy, that's an idea that a lot of people really agree with. It's one of the reasons, I think, why over the past 2,000 years, Christianity has been such a powerful force, because it is actually a very successful idea, largely because it's a good idea, right? So getting your ideas out there, having the marketplace of ideas, I think that's also a very important thing. And then fifth, I think the reason that I actually started this initially was because of the riots last year. We had such a high degree of just really stupid, bad ideas propagating out there that were causing these riots. People talking about stuff like defund the police. Now, you want to talk about reorganizing budgets and trying to reprioritize focuses? Okay, sure. That's a different conversation. But the bumper sticker slogan of defund the police is incredibly stupid. And yet it was catching on like wildfire last summer. And I was having enough. I just couldn't take it. I needed to speak out. And I started by writing posts on Facebook. And some of those were very popular amongst my friends. And so, that was a really nice way of getting it out, but that was just one format. And I do encourage people to write out blogs, actually write out their thoughts and share them. In fact, even dissertation form is great, because that discipline is also good for you, because it helps you formulate that mind. A disciplined mind is a powerful mind. So going back to when I started the video format, that was because I started realizing, there's sometimes when there's just ideas that I want to get out quick, but I want it to be something that I can speak it into existence. When you just write something, that has a lot of power too, but there's also something very visceral about being able to speak and say it, largely for your own self, right? There's a power to that. So that was another reason why I started it. And so that's why I'm telling everybody, you should start a vlog too. Now, does it mean that I'm going to watch your vlog? Maybe not. If you're watching this video, maybe pop your own vlog's address into the comment, line down below. I'd love to hear a conversation on that. But at the same time, again, I'm not doing this to become popular or anything like that. If I were, I wouldn't be spouting off some of the ideas I do, because I'm speaking my truth. I'm speaking what I see in the world. And I'm more than happy to reevaluate my ideas if somebody proposes an alternate idea that maybe I didn't think about. And I'd like to think about that, because that's the way we get better, is to confront ourselves with ideas, to confront ourselves with truths or ideas that we might even disagree with. And by confronting ourselves with them, instead of trying to cancel them and trying to shut them out, we grow stronger. But we have to actually figure out, okay, why is it that I disagree with that idea? What is it about that idea that is so deplorable that I would disagree with it or even fight against it? And that's something I would love to ask all the cancel culturatis, all these idiots out there saying we need to cancel all these people. Well, what I'd like to say to them is, grow up and challenge yourself. See if you can formulate arguments that counter those arguments. Okay, so for example, if you disagree with communism like I do, I absolutely abhor communism and Marxism in general. And you might say that I'm just, red baiting or something like that. Well, here's the thing. I've had a lot of time to really carefully think about this. After all, my wife grew up in a communist country, and I've studied the Communist Manifesto, I've studied Marxism, I've studied postmodernism and post-colonialism and all these different leftist ideas. I've studied these things. I'm not just some Joe Schmo that's never studied it. And even then, a lot of Joe Schmoes have studied it too. Just so you know, you people who think that a degree is what makes you smart. There's actually, like for example, I've got a cousin who, he cuts down trees for a living. Yes, he has a business where he cuts down trees. He basically operates a tree service. He's a certified arborist. He's a great guy. Really love him. And you know what? He's also highly intelligent. Did he ever go to college? No. Does that make him stupid? No. In fact, he's sharp as a tack. He's really smart. But yet, there's a lot of people out there that they look at him and they'll say, oh, well, he can't be that smart because he only has a high school diploma. That's so stupid. Just stop it with the arrogance. Just because you were willing to go into deep student debt in order to get a degree doesn't mean diddly squat. So anyways, start a vlog. Post your vlog's address in the comments if you'd like, and I'd love to take a look and find out more. And anyways, thank you for joining me on this longer video than I expected. I'm the Colorblind Architect. Peace out.